This is a CBS News special report. I'm Weijia Jiang reporting in Seoul, South Korea. We are watching President Trump. He is at the DMZ, which is the demilitarized border zone that separates North and South Korea. You can see the iconic blue houses behind him as he crosses over for what's going to be a historic meeting with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. President Trump himself says he crafted this meeting because he extended this invitation for Kim to meet him on Twitter. And even though Kim did not immediately respond, we learned just a couple hours ago that he was in fact going to be here. And you can see the president slowly making his way there. We have eyes now on Kim Jong-un. Here they come. This is the third time they have met together. The president has now just made history, becoming the first U.S. president to cross over into North Korea. You can see him right now. That step, that picture is iconic. No American president has done this before. Many American presidents have visited the DMZ as a show of force alongside South Korea, but that crossover is quite literally taking a different side. And the president has long said he thinks it is in the best interest of the entire world to get along with North Korea. That is exactly why we are seeing this unfold right now. You can see Kim there giggling at something the president said.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Again, you can see Kim showing pleasure at something the president has just told him.
Where are they going? Great, they're going.
And so we have just witnessed history with President Trump stepping onto North Korean soil alongside Kim Jong-un as he tries to put together a deal for Pyongyang to denuclearize the Korean peninsula. We are watching to see how long this meeting lasts, but the president before actually set very low expectations for this. He said it was likely going to be a handshake and that they would only need 2 minutes together to say hello. They are still talking. They've been together now for a few minutes, and it's unclear if they plan to go into an area to actually sit down to talk about how to move forward. But Mr. Trump himself really
that made him the first U.S. president to visit our country.
이 행동 자체만 보시지 말고 이 그런 대통령께서 분리선을 넘어 가신 거는 다시 말하면 좋지 않은 그 과거를 청산하고.
But not a lot of substance with the deal. Still, this is a historic moment for President Trump, who is now the first U.S. president to ever walk into North Korea. Let's listen.
Eliminate all the unfortunate past and open a new future.
I just want to say that this is my honor. I didn't really expect it. We were in Japan for the G20. We came over and I said, hey, I'm over here. I want to call up Chairman Kim. And we got to meet, and stepping across that line was a great honor. A lot of progress has been made. A lot of friendships have been made, and this has been in particular a great friendship. So I just want to thank you. That was very quick notice, and I want to thank you.
내가 지금 얘기하고 싶은 거는 아주 무한한 영광이다라는 얘기입니다. 내가 G20에 왔다가 한국에 오게 되니까 그런데 김 위원장한테 전화를 하고 연락을 해서 한번 만나야 되겠다라고 했습니다. 그러니까 오랜 통보를 하지 않았는데도 즉각 응답해 주셔서 대단히 감사드립니다. 우리는 지금까지 아주 엄청난 많은 진전을 이루었다고 생각합니다. 그리고 영광입니다.
So we're going to go inside. We're going to talk for a little while about different things, and a lot of really positive things are happening, and I'm glad you could be here to see it. But tremendous positivity Really great things are happening, and in a lot of places. But we met and we liked each other from day one, and that was very important.
조금 있다가 우리가 시간을 보내서 서로 그 얘기를 좀 할 예정입니다. 지금까지 우리는 대단한 그러한 진전을 이루었습니다. 우리는 서로 만나자마자 서로 아주 느낌이 좋았습니다. 그리고 서로 좋아하고 있습니다. 아마도 많은 진전을 이룰 수 있을 것 같습니다.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
I would invite him right now to the White House.
Kim Jong-un going into one of the buildings there. Actually, you can also see South Korean President Moon Jae-in shaking hands with Kim. And this is a bit unexpected because just a few days ago, North Korea sent a statement that essentially told Moon he's no longer needed as a mediator and asked him to mind his own internal affairs. So we were not expecting Moon Jae-in to be part of this meeting, but you can see he is right there alongside President Trump and Kim Jong-un, who are expected to go into a room to further their talks. We can tell you that President Trump just invited Kim to the White House. And for Kim, that is a tremendous victory. You know, despite little progress when it comes to sanctions being lifted in his country, you know, personally, Kim has wanted this validation on a world stage, this indication that he is not a pariah. And President Trump has already gifted him that by agreeing to meet with him. But an invitation to the White House is another level.
Come here. Thank you. No, he's okay. He's okay. He's okay. Excuse me. Facial.
They are still engaging in a photo opportunity with local media. And so a lot of this is just that. Because the meeting is so short, we do not expect they will come to any agreements when it comes to denuclearizing the peninsula. But the president has stressed this entire time that he's been here that he is in absolutely no rush to do that. He said that he does not want to rush into anything because that gets people in trouble. And so really this is a confidence building for President Trump to show Kim that he is still willing to sit at the negotiating table despite the challenges that they have faced during their previous summits.
Yes,
The president also insisted that even though they have not reached a formal agreement, Kim is keeping up his promises. The president says this is a safer world now because they are engaging in talks. He continues to point to the fact that Kim is not testing interballistic missiles that could reach the U.S. And he continues to talk about the return of hostages to the U.S., as well as remains of American soldiers from the Korean War. Chairman Kim has also said here that he and President Trump work very well together. So it's really an exchange of very flowery language and indicating that they respect each other, they like each other, they have chemistry, according to Mr. Trump. And that is why they are willing to continue these talks, even though they have faced problems in the past. You just saw them going into a building. And this is a lot more time together than we anticipated, because the president himself said that it would probably last just 2 minutes and that he really just wanted a quick hello and a handshake. This is not a quick hello and a handshake. They are now going inside a building together, presumably to have a conversation about how they can move forward. And so, just to recap for you, The president has made history being the first U.S. president to step into North Korea. Right now, he is meeting with Kim Jong-un at the DMZ, and we will have the very latest for you all day long about how that meeting goes on your local news, on our 24/7 streaming service, CBSN, as well as Sunday Morning and Face the Nation.
For news 24 hours a day, go to cbsnews.com.